Everybody wants to make telehealth more efficient. I feel like there is a demand people want to make to improve the telehealth, and in many cases, it's just a necessity.
Look who we have here is Alex Koshykov, the co-founder of YODD. He is our grand prize winner for the 2026 HealthTech Impact Award. Woo! Yay! We really gone through so many applicants and breaking down into 6 categories of diagnostic, mental health, women's health, biotech, medical devices, and digital health. And put it all together is what YODD really showed us is a telehealth diagnostic startup, founder of HealthTech, a global community connecting the digital health investors, innovators, and he really is someone who already in the trenches with you guys. He hosts the industry interviews and events, bring together founders, clinicians, investors alike to accelerate how we are able to help clinicians to collect real-time exam-grade patient data during these virtual visits. And I think it's critical for all of us to think about we all in it for a similar goal, right? Healthcare is difficult to manage. We as individuals, whether you're a clinician, operator, a patient, or advocate, we all wanted to see how do we make it better. But then it's too broad of a topic. So we needed to start refining into exactly what we see is the wedge. And that's why we ran this Impact Award. It's about putting people into the category leader and leveraging the relationship, the community to connect the right people with the right product so we can create impact. And also, Alex is a YouTuber, content creator himself. He knows building community sometimes is, yes, we have all these people, but how well they're engaging. Are we having the right conversation to move become very critical.
And I'm pretty sure at least 4 out of those 7 visits could be easily replaced with telehealth with my device. But at the end of the day, we're kind of ambitious, hoping that everybody on this planet should have our device, because like all of us have a thermometer at home. Why not to have our device so you can do an effective telehealth?
Welcome to Provider's Edge, where healthcare leaders and innovators learn how to scale smarter, lead stronger, and create lasting impact. Too many health, dental, and wellness entrepreneurs try to solve everything at once. In this episode, Alex shares why sustainable growth comes from focusing on one real problem and listening closely to the people you serve. Whether you're running a practice or building a health tech company, you'll learn how community, customer feedback, and clear positioning help you build trust, gain traction, and create meaningful impact before chasing bigger growth. So, Alex, tell us more about yourself, right? You can fix any gap in a healthcare system. You can do really anything outside the healthcare. How come you really found the passion for you to bridge the gap between how we see patient into these in-person exam video calls and then to gain more confidence in the diagnostic arena that we're able to provide for patients and clinical caregivers?
Thanks so much for having me, Sabrina, and I'm really honored to win this award. Great award, and I feel like we built this solution for impact, and that's why I'm super happy to win this award, Health Impact Award. A few words about myself. I'm originally Ukrainian. I started my career surprisingly in public health because I was majoring in public relations and advertising back in school, and I got a job doing a lot of promotion and advocacy campaigns for an NGO in Ukraine that was dealing with HIV/AIDS. And to be honest, those 4 years of my life were the most impactful years of my life because we've done so many cool projects where literally I could see the change and how we help people getting the treatment, improving access, and many other things. So once I got into tech, I feel like, no offense to e-commerce, for example, but I didn't want to build e-commerce websites or just websites in general. I want to continue building something for healthcare. And that's why I've done a lot of development. I've built a lot of products for healthcare and wellness industries, all kind of products, from starting from mobile apps for patient with specific diseases, platforms for clinical trials, telehealth solutions. And then when the war started back in 2022 in my country, we decided, my co-founder and I, we decided that we need to give back to community and to Ukrainians who are suffering from the war. So we launched a telehealth platform absolutely free of charge for Ukrainians to get a medical consultation online, because a lot of people were either sitting in the subway or in the basement without access to healthcare. And we did, like literally 3 weeks after the full invasion, we launched a telehealth platform. Lots of doctors registered to volunteer their time to consult Ukrainians, which was amazing. And we were constantly evolving the platform, asking doctors like, hey, what else do you need? How else we can help? And doctors were saying, yeah, the software was fine. We don't experience any bugs, but it's still so hard to diagnose patients remotely. Just literally, you have to trust everything patient says. And that's like patient is lying. It's just patient doesn't have a medical background to describe the cough, for example, or any other symptoms. And back then, we already had a hardware department. So after a few brainstorming sessions, we decided that we can build that solution as an actual hardware medical device and provide that data to doctors remotely, so doctors can diagnose. And instead of listening to patient explaining how bad your cough is, doctor can listen to your chest, to your lungs, and make a decision based on the data, not the words. So that's how the idea came. And we were starting to do research on that. And looks like, yes, Ukraine is definitely a great place to start with as a sandbox, but solutions seems to be needed all over the world, starting from rural health, elderly care, pediatrics. But at the end of the day, we're kind of ambitious, hoping that everybody on this planet should have our device, because like all of us have a thermometer at home. Why not to have our device so you can do an effective telehealth? And we also conducted hundreds of interviews, and we figure out that telehealth is not efficient without solutions like this, because patients still want to provide the data to the doctors, but they can't now, and we are trying to fix that.
Yeah, exactly. I see what is beneficial. You carved out a population that's in need, and you already have people who want it. You have people who's saying that we don't have these resources, can we have some help? Then you have patients in Ukraine ask for it. Now you have people who are clinicians, might not, based on their licensing and whatnot, right? US is pretty much that way. If you have a compact license, then I can practice in multiple states. And that helps, especially with the telehealth arena, where you don't have to just, if you live in Texas, only Texas, right? But if you got a compact license, you can go to multiple different states. So same thing is, start meeting people where they are and then asking the right questions. What else do you want? And for you, when you ask the what else do you want question, then it narrowed down to, okay, diagnostic. And we all know that, because telemedicine, one thing we wouldn't be able to trust is just simply based on symptom. And symptom tracking is good, but it's very subjective. It's not objective. So when we have all of these remote monitoring system popping out, then we're saying that yes, we have to make sure it's accurate, right? Tracking the right symptoms. And some department will have a different exam. And what the exciting thing nowadays is, we do have, right, ENT, they have these monitors. You can go to the ear, you can actually see directly on the computer what that looks like. And then you can put on the stethoscope on people. You can actually listen to their hearts for their murmurs. You have all these monitors to track the different vitals, pulse ox. So we can get the right data point to actually communicate with patient that much more effectively from a diagnostic side. Besides the generalized data point that you guys collect, I think also is beneficial for you to start in a country outside of US, because there are other companies that are doing similar things in the US. So you can say, oh, I already have thousands of patients and doing it in this way and collecting data, and then put it back to the FDA and then all the clinical trials that require R&D in the US, right? And I think that's even one of the strategy we talk to a lot of early stage founders. The US, when you're doing these things, it can be a lot more costly. If you have some data point outside the country, then come back is much easier. So what is next for you guys, right? Like it's exciting for you guys to expand, to build. What's the next 3 to 6 months it looks like?
First of all, I want to say you're very right. It's so different in each country. The regulations, business model. In many countries, there is still B2C option for our device, but not in the US. B2C would not really work here because of the system and how it's structured. So our next big challenge is FDA clearance. As you rightfully mentioned, we need to get cleared before we start selling. And this is probably like the biggest challenge, not challenge, but the next phase for us on our roadmap. Once we're done with that, we're good to go and start actually selling the device. And I do think, even though you're right, there are a lot of competitors in the market, but I do think our business model is different from others. And I think it's beneficial for many healthcare providers to use our business model. So I'm very optimistic. And once we get FDA cleared, I think it's going to go really fast for us.
Perfect. So tell us a little bit more about your business models and how you think it's a competitive edge.
Sure. So the business model is super simple, and sometimes people think they overcomplicate things. We are going to be in the device business, no subscriptions, no recurrent fees or anything, as most of our competitors do. And for a device that some people, especially the one that do not have chronic condition, that just want to have a primary care visit virtually instead of going to the ER, they're just gonna buy the device and have it at home. Like I said, like all of us have a thermometer or pulse ox in the pandemic. Now they would have our device, and they can literally call their doctor, connect the device, and get more accurate diagnosis and recommendation from a doctor. So I've talked to multiple chief medical officers, and they think the business model is very compelling, and that's why I'm very hopeful that it's going to take off.
Are you trying to focus more on the B2B2C model? So, because we're attached to different clinics, organizations, and when they are heavily promoting telehealth, their patients will need to have a device. So is that a more of a reimbursement model through health insurance plans? How do you proceed? Or is it even just a cash play because people say, hey, I do want to monitor at home anyway, right? Like you're saying, what's the best way that you proceed to move forward?
Very good question. And the short answer is depends, obviously, on who is on the other side of B2B model. So you're right. At the end of the day, it's B2B2C. So the consumers, the patients are the users of the product. They need to have the device at home. But we've talked to multiple organizations, and they are going to decide how they're going to charge or not charge their clients, their patients for this device. So we literally had some discussion to say, hey, we already providing them devices, so we're just gonna use your device as one multimodal kit and send it to them, and they can use it forever.
Alex's journey reminds us that the strongest companies don't begin with chasing the biggest opportunity. They begin with a deep understanding of a problem worth solving. We talked about how his early experience shaped his commitment to healthcare, why finding unique niche matters more than trying to fix everything, and how purpose becomes the foundation for building trust, meaningful partnership, and lasting impact. Before we jump into the second half of today's conversation, let's take a quick pause and honor you as our listeners, and many of you really do have amazing story, amazing work that you are doing as a category leader. So we wanted to hear from you, whether you are a founder that has built a health dental wellness solution, or you are a operator leader within a health system. Apply to be a speaker on our podcast. Thank you for all of you for making this podcast the top 100 ranked under entrepreneurship. Go to theprovidersedge.com to apply. All right, let's get back to the second half of our show.
Some would consider charging them for that device separately. And then there are also a combination of different business model on their side when they might buy it from me, by charge for some like rent fee from their patients. So that's why I'm sort of outsourcing that decision on the business side that we're going to partner with, instead of just making a decision on my side.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a great insight. It's about asking the right question with your stakeholders. what do they really see value and what do they want, and then how do you create a plan that makes sense for them and you, so it become a win-win situation. So now I'm curious, for all the people who has been super excited about adapting you guys' solution for these diagnostic device, what are something that they've been telling you to say why they believe in this?
Everybody wants to make telehealth more efficient. After the pandemic, everybody thought, okay, telehealth is the new norm. But surprisingly, the statistics tells us that the usage rate of telehealth basically went back to the same numbers as pre-pandemic, which nobody really expected. And the main reason, as I've said, people want to provide as much data to doctors as possible. So when we're saying the doctors are still doing telehealth and that's one of their services, they want to do that service more effectively and have more data about the patient instead of just having a 10-minute conversation with the patient. So I feel like there is the demand people want to make to improve the telehealth. And in many cases, it's just a necessity. And I'll give you an example from my personal life. Since I moved to the US, I've been to the ER, unfortunately, 7 times, either for myself or my family or my friends. And not a single visit lasted less than 5 hours. That's a lot of time spent in the ER. And I'm pretty sure at least 4 out of those 7 visits could be easily replaced with telehealth with my device. So I think there is a huge opportunity in the market, and especially for payers who are paying for those ER visits that are expensive to save some costs as well. So yeah, like I said, super optimistic about this.
Yeah, it's about cutting down the unnecessary costs in the healthcare space when we're already tapped out, right? And even urgent care nowadays is sometimes you still wait for hours, and you can sign online to have a wait list to bring a place, but it still just depends on how many people in front of you, right? And do you have everything? And some urgent care really couldn't support the type of care a true ER can do, right? So having these early stage triage from a telehealth perspective can reduce both the payers' burden on health insurance as well as just the burden of urgent care ER. Did they even triage the people who are on 4 and 5 that is not too urgent, that really should be a telemedicine? So then the more critical patient can be looked after. And we also seen
Exactly.
plenty of time, right? ER, they're so overflow. They are in a hallway, patient sitting there and not being seen. And I actually, back in my day, I worked, I realized I was always a surgical people, not a medicine people when I work in hospitalist. And I'm like, oh my God, I have to admit 5 patients this hour. And then you have no patient for the next 2 hours. And you're like, oh my gosh, how do you quickly get people in, right? So they're not waiting in an ER for all that. You really start thinking about their acute and chronic things that once they go into the hospital. But then this admission is also a hospital burden, especially for those people who has chronic disease, right? Heart failure, kidney disease, dialysis patients, or any recent surgery, because that dings on the program. So definitely a great movement that you guys are pursuing. We're so excited. And then we know you're actively fundraising. And one of the reasons that people went to Showdown, we're excited to start replaying some of the Showdowns replay for people to hear from the investors who we did a reverse Q&A. And then we got Alex and 5 other founders that are the winner of their category be able to pitch the group. And those are about having people who truly believe in this movement to get that off the ground, right? You guys have user case. Now is how do we get the right funding so you can have the people helping you to get FDA approval. Once that's the case, we already simultaneously talking to clinics to about launching that next rounds of pilot, right? So all these movements converging into this excitement. So anybody who are excited about creating investment, passive income, and legacy into healthcare by having better diagnostic, better experience in telemedicine, and perhaps you already experience similar ways, contact Alex or contact us. We'll make sure you guys are put it into the right place. So everything in how we experience care, how quickly we can get to care becomes not much easier. Now, Alex, I also know the whole reason we created the Impact Award is also helping people to see step by step, right? Like step one impact award was like, hey, just show us your deck, how you're making impact. And then we're like, hey, we know all of you guys needed to be the face of the company and be the promoter, the champion of your company. So we asked you guys to send the 2-minute video. And then we say, hey, then you also have to practice, right? Be prepared to take the stage. So you become a face to face. Then we ask you, if you don't have social capital, it's really hard to sell anything, right? Then we get public to vote. Then finally, we give you all the reports to say, now this is what all the investors are telling about you. This is how we analyze your pitch by 10-point scale, how we rewrote it, what you improvement need to be a pitch deck. And next for us, for you, particularly being grand prize, we're going to dive deeper into the right people that need this. How do you talk to them? So tell us about this overall experience. There's a lot of different steps, right? Like some award is just like, oh, just a pitch fest, right? And then be done with it. And then maybe you meet some investor. For us, it become this mini boot camp through this whole thing. What was the best experience that you felt through this journey of getting on stage, getting all these little videos, or asking people to vote for you that you learned through this journey on how you will reflect back on how to build your company also?
Great question. I really appreciate you organizing this award. I do think it was really well thought, and all the steps that you mentioned, they actually really help because sometimes, like, yeah, you pitch your startup like almost every day, but then somebody asks you, like, hey, record a video, a 2-minute video, and like, interesting. What should I exactly put in those 2 minutes? Because that's not a lot of time. It's pretty close to elevator pitch, and you need to practice those as well. But yeah, every time you provided specific steps and instructions, that was super helpful. And of course, then the final event where there were so many investors and there's a huge audience of people who came just to support and listen, that was also like super impressive to just pitch in front of that huge audience with so much experience. So no, and now all the materials that I get and all the insights, lots of great recommendation advice from judges. I'm super thankful and really appreciate all the work that you've done. And yeah, I feel super honored to win the award.
Amazing. What would you tell people who are kind of hesitate when they go apply to a award and that they really should do it? If you were in their shoes, what would you tell them?
First of all, if you're a startup founder, forget the word hesitant. You just don't really don't really think too much. Just apply, and you're gonna definitely get as much benefit as I did. And yeah, just don't overthink it and overcomplicate it. Just apply, go through all the steps, and if your solution deserves the award, then that's your day. So yeah, definitely recommend it.
Perfect. And we're so excited for all the movements that coming out for you. Looking forward to see the press release that we're about to launch, see all the places, the other news and media that's get picked up, right? We all know as you're building a media platform is that we need the right eyeballs to start reading, to start engaging into what you're up to. And then that will lead to contract, that will lead to investor conversation. And also, we're excited to go down the rabbit hole with you to see behind the scene and how to optimize everything that you and your co-founder have built so far, and then making sure even more investors are getting connected. For anybody else, exactly what Alex is saying, don't be hesitating because it's all about the speed of action and execution. That's at the end of the day what will make your idea into a true impact and not just the idea on paper that you got a lot of people excited about. We really want you guys to flourish and have a tangible impact. Any last words that you'd like to share with the audience?
I'd like everybody to remember the name of the company. It's YODD, which is the abbreviation for Your Online Doctor Diagnostics. I really hope most of you are going to have a chance to have that device at home very soon. And that's going to improve your whole healthcare experience and healthcare delivery. I do think that remote work is now a new norm. I'm sure remote health is going to be the next new norm, and we already see lots of trends happening in home health. So yeah, looking forward to learn what's next in the industry overall, and of course, hoping to get my device to the market as soon as possible.
Now, this last part of our conversation shifted from having a great idea to building a company people genuinely want to support. Alex shared why community, visibility, and authentic relationship create opportunity that cold outreach rarely can. If you're building a healthcare company, remember that trust isn't built overnight. It is earned through consistently showing up, sharing your mission, and creating value long before you ask for funding or partnership. For all the visionaries out there who have an idea, startup, or innovation that could change healthcare, dental, and the wellness space, bring it to Hot or Not. You get to just 2 minutes to pitch your company in front of investors, clinicians, operators, and other industry experts. Then the audience weighs in. Is it hot? A solution that the market wants, or not? A concept that needs more validation. Formerly known as pitch to yes, so then you can actually submit your pitch early to pitch to yes, and we will do the analysis for you. This is your opportunity to pressure test your message to get real feedback and potentially connect with partners, customers, and investors. Submit your pitch at pitch2yes.com and join us at this event because great ideas deserve honest feedback. Perfect. If you are a practitioner and investor like to engage with a product like what Alex have, check the show note. Either submit your investor thesis or preference, or you're like, hey, I wanted to help. I can open doors. Then we would love to have a conversation with you and to make sure that the meaningful movements of all of you guys, each one of us, have something amazing to give in the health, wellness, and dental space. So let's all champion together and making telehealth the next new norm. Until next time, thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.
This conversation reminds us that building a successful healthcare technology company isn't about solving every problem in healthcare. It is about solving one meaningful problem exceptionally well. Alex's journey showed how purpose-focused execution and building the right relationship can create momentum that opens doors to greater impact. And we're so proud for him to be one of our Impact Award winners. Every year, application opens toward the end of the year around October, and we are looking forward to see all the new cohort of the next wave of innovation companies coming out. Now, here are the 6 founder lessons you can apply as you continue to grow your company. Number 1, healthcare is too broad. Great founders define a narrow wedge. One of the strongest themes early in the interview is that everyone wants to improve healthcare, but broad mission do not build companies. Instead, successful founders identify a specific problem where they can create a measurable change before expanding. That message resonates with founders struggling to explain their value proposition. Number 2, purpose creates endurance. Alex didn't choose healthcare because it was the easiest market. His career began working on HIV/AIDS awareness campaign in Ukraine, where he saw firsthand how communication could improve patient outcome. That experience shaped every business decision afterward. For founders, this is an important reminder. Mission isn't your marketing. Mission is what keeps your building when fundraising becomes difficult. Number 3, visibility is part of building the company. One of the recurrent themes is that founders must become the face of their company. The HealthTech Impact Awards aren't simply about submitting a pitch deck. Applicants had to create videos to talk about their mission, their process, their product, present publicly, build social capital to get buy-in, receive public validation, and receive investor feedback. This entire process reinforces a message that your ICP already believes. build a better company isn't enough. People have to know that you exist and support you. Number 4, community creates opportunities that cold outreach rarely does. Alex has intentionally built relationships among founders, clinicians, investors, and innovators. I emphasize that the goal is connecting the right people with the right solutions, not simply increasing the number of connections. That becomes an excellent lesson for founders trying to shortcut relationship building. Number 5, speed of execution separates founders from dreamers. Near the close of the episode, we shifted from inspiration to execution. The emphasis isn't simply having a good idea. It is moving quickly enough that the idea becomes reality. That message will resonate particularly well with innovators between seed and Series A who are waiting for the perfect time. Now, let me ask you this. If someone researched your company today, would they find enough evidence to trust you? Or are you still relying only on your product to sell your story? Thank you for listening. Remember, the positive change we're seeking starts right here with me and you. If you are a fan of the show, or if you are just having struggles or success that you're either experienced in the past or are experiencing now in the healthcare industry, these matter to all of us. I want to hear from you. Visit sabrinarumback.com/connect and send me a direct message. Talk soon.